Pretty much all fitness journeys come down to one thing. Most people start in a way that they're not really getting the best results. They're often either getting injured or they're just not even really able to burn much body fat or gain much muscle or to accomplish what they set out to accomplish. Then eventually they start invoking more of the science, whether it's the science of nutrition, lifestyle, exercise prescription, or usually a combination of all of them. And at that point, you really have liftoff. The plane gets up into the air, so to speak. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my own fitness journey, which I haven't actually talked about in all these years of doing videos and creating content. So let me tell you a little bit about my history. When I was in middle school and even high school, I was an athlete, but I was not a good one. I had poor biomechanics. I had really bad asthma that really got in the way of a lot of things. And I wasn't able to gain any muscle, even though I'd been lifting weights since I think I was 12 or so years old. But I never gained any real muscle at all. So this went on for years and years, and I kept asking myself. Sometimes I'd be on a long jog, or I'd be in sports. I was in boxing or over a good period of time, and I'd ask myself, like, "Gosh, what do I have to actually do to gain the muscle and try to remedy the asthma somewhat?" I had inhalers and all the things from the medical world, but none of that really did anything. That's not really addressing the problem. And so, long story short, I just kept thinking to myself, if only I was one of these lucky people who could lift weights and gain muscle and who could have asthma and actually control it naturally and who actually could get on to improving their biomechanics and I didn't think in that word back then, but could I actually create results for myself? And it wasn't until I started college. In my first semester in college when I was 18, I was taking general studies. I wasn't terribly connected to any particular passion or study of interest. And then a friend of mine mentioned to me the exercise science program. And when I heard exercise and science put together that way, I thought, oh my gosh, I get it. Exercise science. That's it. That's what this whole thing is about. That's why you have coaches who really know like the conditioning for certain sports very well, and you have certain athletic trainers that really know like, oh, you play such and such sport, or you're having this kind of biomechanical issue, and here's how to fix it. And so it all really hit me that like that's what I need. So I got into that program, to the exercise science program, and wow, that changed everything because once I started implementing what I was learning in school to my nutrition and to my exercise prescription and somewhat to my lifestyle, although back then in the 90s we didn't know quite as much like we do now about lifestyle, or at least I wasn't learning it yet. The, my whole scope of fitness changed completely. My sleep got so much deeper and more productive. I was gaining muscle rapidly now. Instead of not gaining pretty much any muscle, I was gaining it rapidly, and I couldn't even believe it. My nutrition, when I put together a meal, I felt really good afterwards. I didn't feel completely full all the time necessarily. I just felt good. I felt like I had energy. And I found myself, instead of going for runs and kind of having to drag myself into it and commit, okay, 30 minutes, you're going to go for a run. Okay, 20 more minutes, you're going to leave. Instead of going through that mental kind of thing, I would find myself wanting to go for runs without even thinking about it. I'd be reading a book at home and say, let's go do 5 miles real quick. So my energy levels were getting fantastic. And all of this came about from around, I'm describing from around 18 and a half or so till about the time I was age 20. It was just wow, wow, getting better, better, better. And then, of course, I took that into my 20s as well. But that first year and a half or so, I'd say was just new discoveries constantly and constantly applying everything new that I was learning. And I felt incredible. And now let's talk about how does that pertain to you? Well, I can almost guarantee that whatever you're doing right now in your program is not subject to the guidelines of ACSM, American Council on Exercise, Cooper Institute, et cetera, et cetera. All the groups that have done the research to figure out exactly what you are going to need based on your particular muscle fiber types, and they're going to be different from muscle to muscle. We can test for that. Based on your cardiopulmonary health. I mentioned before that I had asthma. Well, I was able to really radically reduce my asthmatic symptoms, not from the inhalers that the medical world gave me, but from natural change, from less inflammatory food and all kinds of changes to my lifestyle. So what I'm saying is, if you take what you're doing currently and we start adding the science to it, we start figuring out you've only got so many hours per week, let's take out the stuff that's not really going to be doing much and start tweaking all the things that can be really productive for you. Well, before you know it, you're going to be seeing the kind of changes that I was seeing. And believe me, I felt fantastic. And like I said, I took those lessons into adulthood. At this point, now I'm just about 49 years old. And I have kept those same lessons. And of course, I've continued to learn throughout my years, but I've taken some of those basic fundamentals of exercise prescription, of nutrition crafting, meal planning, of all those things, and I've plugged them into my life. And for now, we're talking 30 years later, and I've had consistently an appropriate body fat percentage. I've been able to maintain muscle mass by just having the right kind of program, the right science in place. And you can do all this too. That's the important thing to understand. But you want to plug in the science as needed. And when something's going wrong, we have to find out what kind of natural solution there's going to be for that. Whether it's hormone imbalance, whether it's maybe you are having trouble with sleep science, who knows? There could be a million different things that can go wrong. Maybe perhaps a musculoskeletal issue. Almost everything has a natural remedy. So anyway, my name is Val. Reach out to me, comment down below. My team and I are always here to help you get to the next level and beyond in a progressive and highly personalized workout. Let me know if you have any questions about this video, and I look forward to your health and your fitness success.